Welcome. Shawn Thomas here, and we got a couple more. We have 4 questions that came in overnight, so I wanted to make sure and do a mentor session and get these answered for these members as soon as possible. As always, Honey, my virtual assistant down in the Philippines, who does an amazing job, is going to answer and a link right to the YouTube part of the video where I am answering your question. There is nobody on the face of the planet that does this like we do in AO, and I just get so excited by it every time I show it to somebody and explain what we do. Let's jump right into this. The first question comes from Nancy Lopez, and Nancy says, from your perspective, what quote-unquote problem does jewelry solve for customers? And what kind of emotional value do you think jewelry adds to you? The background is I design jewelry for women, and I want to understand better what is my product's contribution. I'm struggling with this since I only see it as a non-essential product. Well, Nancy, I would agree. It's not an essential product. I would look at jewelry the same as I would look at a concert ticket. It's entertainment. It's not an essential. There's no... That's what is contributing to the person's outlook. You know, when I read this question, I was really, what's the word I was looking for? I was really concerned for you, because this type of question usually means that somebody is very lost in why they're doing what they're doing. Usually when we create a product or service for somebody else, because we're not doing it for ourselves, we know what it's going to do for them. When I think about why do I own my watch, I own it because it's a fashion statement, first and foremost. Depending on the value of the watch or the brand of the watch, it's going to make me appear in a certain type of economical status. If I'm carrying a Louis Vuitton handbag versus a Coach handbag, somebody is going to look at me different, right? When I'm driving a Bentley as opposed to a Honda, I'm getting a certain amount of value and prestige by owning a certain brand, right? When someone buys a piece of jewelry, what are they going to get out of it? I can only imagine that you have sold jewelry to dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people. The best people to ask that question to would be to them. What are they getting out of buying your jewelry? What made them pick your particular piece of jewelry over the millions of different other types of jewelry out there? It's not because you're solving a problem per se. It's not like a computer. I'm buying a computer because I need to solve a problem of being able to get online or whatever. You are providing value in the form of entertainment, prestige, fashion and appearance. I'm just making these things up off the top of my head because I'm a consumer, and why would I buy this shirt? Why would I buy this hat? Why would I buy anything? It's not to solve a problem. It is to do something from a fashion perspective. And I'm going to make sure that I have Tony from Hammett answer this, because he sells women's handbags. And I would venture to say that he could give a lot of information and value around your question of why people buy handbags. But that's a great question to know the answer to, but I'm a little bit more concerned about that you're feeling very lost over there and you're struggling. And that's why I really wanted to make sure and do this video and answer this, was because go back to the reasoning of why you wanted to become a jeweler, why you wanted to be a jewelry maker. What is it that you wanted to do for other people? What kind of inspiration? What kind of emotion? You know, what was it around that? Because that passion has got to come through, and it's got to be, you got to be doing it because you know that there are people that are going to get something from buying your jewelry. And it's just like art. All of those types of things. They're not essential, but people will pay for it, and they'll pay thousands and thousands of dollars for jewelry and fashion and things like that. So that is definitely going to be something for you to go back to the drawing board for. But don't try to think of it like business perspective of that you're solving a problem. You're also helping somebody with all of these other things I'm talking about. Okay, so I hope that provides some perspective for you. Okay, the next question comes from Nancy Lopez, and Nancy says, what would be great scripts for selling? Let me start over. The next question comes from Nancy Lopez, and Nancy says, what would be great scripts for selling jewelry to retailers? The background is I design jewelry for women that connects them with life moments. I'm starting in the jewelry business. I'm new in my city, and I don't speak the local language. I will approach potential clients in English, and I want to make sure I have great scripts to close the sales. Okay, so I am not a professional script writer. That would be Tom Black. For $500, he will work with you one-on-one to create your scripts. I tell you, after being in sales for decades, I can tell you that I can't think of any template that I could buy online or get online that would say fill in the blank and here's your sales scripts. I wish it were that easy, and there probably are some templates for sales scripts out there in the world, but if you are going to be going out there and making sales, you want custom scripts developed and written with you with a professional sales coach who knows how to write sales scripts, and that would be Tom. I would send me an email to Shawn, SHAWN, at askamillionaire.com, and I would say, Shawn, could you please put me in touch with Tom Black, because I'd like to take him up on his offer for $500 to work with me on Zoom to develop my sales scripts. That is exactly what I would do. I wouldn't hesitate. I wouldn't think twice. And if $500 isn't in your budget, go make the money somehow and then hire Tom. This will change your life. Having professionally written scripts. And Tom is going to do a lot more in that process than just help you with scripts. He's going to help you with overcoming objections, because people are going to say, I don't really need it. I don't really want it. Oh, it's too expensive. I got to talk to my wife. I got to talk to my friend. Come back and see me next week. Now is not a good time. And you're going to need scripts to overcome all of those objections. Work with Tom 100%. And you are definitely in the right mindset that you should get these scripts. Now, on top of that, in the AO portal, there is 11 hours of sales training from Tom that he normally sells for $1,000 outside of AO, but he graciously donates it to the members of AO. I would go through those 11 hours of sales training videos from Tom. He'll teach you the importance of being enthusiastic, the importance of asking questions, icebreakers. He'll teach you so much in that 11 hours of just sales and sales processes and systems that when you do get the right scripts, you're going to be armed with the right knowledge and information to go out there and make some sales. Okay, that's what I would do. Okay, next question comes from Dan Bitter. And Dan says, Next question comes from Dan Bitter. How can I come to a new equity agreement with my partner while addressing his concern? The background is, I initially started as a coder in our tech startup, but my role has evolved to Chief Technology Officer. My equity share hasn't yet changed from the 3% I initially agreed to. We're using a CFO services firm until we find someone to take on the role for equity. My CEO, Todd, is hesitant to redefine the equity until after we finish a business plan, because he wants a CFO-minded person to say, yes, that equity split makes sense, or no, it doesn't make sense, and here's why. We have a large bill coming due June 1st, which I'll need a personal loan for. I'm our only funding source for now, and I've been fine paying the bills as they come, but I feel my current 3% equity isn't enough to justify long-term debt. We've talked about 20 to 25% equity as a proper amount, which satisfies me, but time is growing short and I don't know how to have this conversation. Todd's concern is overpromising equity amounts. In his previous first startup, he gave 20% each to 3 people without keeping track of the total and wouldn't have had much left for himself or investors. His idea is that equity shares are final, while my idea is that we can proportionately decrease current equity shares to offer equity to new partners. He's open to adopting a new model for addressing equity, but he's not sure how things are done and is erring on the safe side. Okay, my first response to this, Dan, is if you are the funding person for your company and you only have 3%, I agree with you 100%, but this is just an opinion. It sounds to me like having a conversation with him around this. You guys are already talking about it, and that's great. This is where I would do this. And unfortunately, this is going to cost you a little bit of money, not much, maybe $500. I would book a phone call with one of our mentors here in the group and just send me an email to Shawn, SHAWN, at askamillionaire.com, and I'll get you an introduction. I would set up a call between this mentor and you and your partner. And the three of you have a conversation around everything as it relates to legal and operating agreements and equity splits and the way it all works. That $500 to book that call will be worth tens of thousands of dollars in long-term knowledge as you guys go down the road of being business partners. Because I can tell you right now from experience, this will not be the first time that you guys have conflict, and it can only get worse. That would be my recommendation. But to give you some knowledge, yes, you are correct that you guys could split the company 50-50 right now. And then when you're going to bring in somebody else that you want to offer equity, you guys could have an agreement that if you offer equity to somebody else, that you each would take a equal proportional share out of your equity to dilute. It's called dilute and give to somebody else. You could create, if you are a corporation, you could have 10,000 or 100,000 shares. Give 20,000 shares to yourself, 20,000 shares to him. The other 60,000 shares are owned by the company to be used to offer equity to other people. And that way you each are 50-50 partners in the distributed shares already. So these are all the different things that you guys are going to have to learn. And I know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to coach you guys through all this. But I know that we've got a mentor that can help you through this. So that's what I would recommend, okay? Book that call. It's going to be worth the $500. Believe me on this. I wish I would have had this type of conversation before I would have gone into this type of situation with one of my old business partners with my last company. It would have saved me literally millions of dollars. Okay? So that's what I would recommend. And the last question comes from Kristen Lattis. More solid branding right now, i.e. logo, brand colors, and fonts. The background is I'm a copywriter for online entrepreneurs who launch new offers and products and need marketing copy to sell. I used a do-it-yourself logo and random fonts for the past 2 years, but want something sustainable moving forward so people recognize me right away. You know, Kristen, I think that I've talked with you about this in other questions in the past. And what I would say is this. It depends on what you're trying to build here. Are you trying to build a company or are you trying to build a personal brand? If you're trying to build a company, my recommendation would be to have a company name and brand that under the company name. And it could be a typeface logo, so it doesn't have to be very expensive. Typeface logos are very inexpensive. Or you could create a full logo like we've done with AO. And same thing with your personal branding. Your Kristen Lattis could be, a typeface logo. So however you go down that road. The more professional your brand looks, the more you can charge. It's a visual thing. If there is a cupcake and one looks fantastic with great packaging and then there's another cupcake that doesn't have great packaging, the cupcake that has better packaging is going to be able to charge more, even if the other one tastes better. Just everything is visual. When it comes to branding, everything is visual. And so my recommendation would be to maybe keep your do-it-yourself logo as a typeface logo, even if it's a personal or business brand, and then get a professional style guide. Because here's the reason of having a professional brand style guide comes into play. By having a professional brand style guide and identity kit with your whole array of color palette, typography, and your different logos and the different PNGs and sizes and backgrounds and everything that you're going to need. This is going to help you with your marketing efforts on your website and on your social media profiles. It's going to help you create a more consistent messaging and view of your brand, which is only going to increase the perceptual value of your brand. So yes, I would recommend doing that. Got somebody in the group that we can do this for you, which will be less expensive than hiring an agency. Just shoot me an email to Shawn, SHAWN, at askamillionaire.com if you need a recommendation. If you don't need a recommendation and you've got somebody in your network, I say go for it. A good person should cost you anywhere in the neighborhood to put together a brand style guide, a good one, and a full brand identity kit, fully done in a Google Drive or a Dropbox folder, so it's all just done. Is going to be somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000. Anybody less than that, maybe they're just starting out and they're not that great, they're a diamond in the rough, or they're just not really that good, and don't do it. You get what you pay for when it comes to branding, just like copywriting, and I know you understand that. Okay, I hope that answers your question, and I will talk to you soon. That is the end of this mentor session because we only had 4 questions. So I just hope you guys got some value from that. If there's anything else I can do for you, just submit a question in the portal and look forward to it. I hope you have a great day, morning or night, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.